my software says it's getting ready to go live, but it actually goes live before my software says, okay, now we're live. So I just kind of do this, knowing at some point it's going to take the picture, the temporary thumbnail, not knowing when it's going to actually start. So we'll have to see how that goes. All right. Welcome! We are live. My name's Rod Howell from UnitedTaps.com, and this is Live at 11. We're gonna do things slightly different today, and I'm gonna get to that. Before I do, I just want to let you know, at UnitedTaps.com, we've got lessons, all levels, beginner up through advanced, and not just like single lessons. We have full lessons series. So like for level 1, your beginner level, you're not going to get all the steps you need out of one lesson or 2 lessons. We've got a set of 12 lessons. It's 12 hours worth of tapping. Why is it so long? Because we take time to teach you a step slowly on both sides with close-ups of the feet, and then we actually take time and practice that step. We'll start doing it real slow, then we'll get a little faster and a little faster, so you have time to get comfortable with the step. After that, we'll put that step and any other steps we learned in that lesson into a combination so you can use the step the way you really would use it, like in a short dance. So we have lesson series again from beginner up through intermediate advanced at UnitedTaps.com. You're going to want to check those out. We have a huge tap dictionary and syllabus, 315 steps, videos of each one broken down from behind with close-ups of the feet. 2 sets of notes, 1 set in alphabetical order. So you're looking for Maxie Ford, go find M, there it is. The other set in syllabus order. So you can say, hey, I need, what should I teach first in level 1? What should I teach first in level 3? And then what's next after that, and so forth and so on. And that's all our complete 315 tap dictionary and syllabus. Do we have some people joining us? We have some people joining us. I'll do one more little plug and then we'll jump in today. Like I said, we're going to do things a little different today, which I'm kind of excited about. It's going to be fun and interesting. Also, we have our practice 315. I said, hey, we've got all these steps in the dictionary. Wouldn't it be great if we had a practice exercise combination for each one of those steps? So that's what I created. That's called the practice 315. Each combination is roughly about 32 counts. That's 4 sets of 8. And each combination is level appropriate. So if we have a level 1 step like buffalo, we'll have a level 1 practice combination for the buffalo. If we have a level 5 step, we'll have a level 5 combination. So they work out perfectly. If you're a teacher, this is awesome because it's like, oh, we're teaching buffaloes today. It'd be nice if I had a buffalo combination to teach them after they get the step. Oh, wait, I do if I have the practice 315. And you can get the complete 315 dictionary and the practice 315 together. I call it the 315 deal, and you save some money. That's always fantastic. Welcome, Carson. All right, my friends. So I got a request. I love requests. So if you're watching this and you have a suggestion or a request or a question, please either put it in the chat if you're watching live or drop it in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact. I got a request for choreography. Someone's saying, hey, I need help. How do I create choreography? Now, I'm going to give you 2 answers for that. The first answer is the one that you don't want, which is this is a skill that takes practice and time. All right? So I can't give you, here's the exact formula. And now you've got it. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so this is the bad news. It's a skill that takes time. The good news is I am going to give you some shortcuts and some strategies that are going to help you get better way faster than just total trial and error. So if you do trial and error, total trial and error, like you'll get better. Like the more you do it, you'll get better and better and better and better, but it's going to take a long time. With my shortcuts and strategies, instead of getting better like this, I think we can get you better like this, like much, much, much faster, okay? So what are these shortcuts and strategies? Well, first, I'm going to give you some basic patterns. Patterns are helpful. Patterns are helpful for you when you're choreographing because it structures what you're creating and actually reduces the amount you have to create, number 1. Number 2, it makes it easier for the students to learn. And number 3, it makes it easier for the audience to process. Now there's some pluses and minuses on that. If it's too patterned, then it actually can get boring for the audience. But in general, there's a reason why hit songs have a chorus that repeats, and they have a bridge, and they have verses with the same kind of rhythm for each verse. There's a reason for that. Human beings like that repetition of patterns and understanding the pattern and getting the pattern relatively quickly. So we can use that in our choreography. Now, not always. There is a place for choreography that is not so patterned. Ultimately, you want a mix. You want some patterning and some unpredictability. People like that as well. But there's a balance. So what patterns can we use? How do we create patterns? How do we do that? All right, so we're going to start you with some very, very, very simple patterns. The first one is A, B, A. All right, A, B, A. Where A will represent a step. I'm going to start, we'll say it's a cramp roll. Okay? And B is going to represent, let's say, an Irish. So our pattern is A, B, A. So that's cramp roll, Irish, cramp roll. Cramp roll, and Irish, cramp roll. So right away, I've got 8 counts total. That's a nice little pattern. Now, is it super sophisticated or fancy? No, it's not. But it's a basic pattern. We start building you up with the cramp roll. You have 2 cramp rolls in a row. The audience is almost expecting that third one, but nope, we switch over to the Irish, and then after that, we're going to come back to the cramp roll again. All right, so it kind of builds them up towards one place. We fake them out, go another, and then we bring it back to wrap it up. Again, it's just A, B, A. Okay. Now that's using the A, B pattern, where A is 2 counts, 1 and a 2, and B is 2 counts, 1 and 2. All right. Now the total is 8 counts, but each piece is 2 counts. You can make each piece longer. For instance, we could say, well, let's make A, instead of just cramp roll, it'll be cramp roll, shuffle, ball change. And for B, we'll do 2 Irishes. So now I've got a pattern, cramp roll, shuffle, ball change, cramp roll, shuffle, ball change, an Irish, cramp roll, shuffle, ball change. So I've taken the A, B, A pattern, and I've made each chunk, the A's, I've made those 4 counts now. And I have to do that with B as well. B is also 4 counts. You can extend it. You can make it 8 counts. So A would be cramp roll, shuffle, ball change, toe, hop, step, ball change. And B would be Irish, stamp, clap, clap, stamp, clap, clap, stamp. So if I put that together, now we've got A, B, and A. And now I've got a much longer sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got a whole 32 count sequence of that basic pattern of A, B, A. So that is one basic pattern that you can use. And ideally, look, if you're creating a dance, you can use this pattern, but 2 things. Don't make the whole dance just the pattern over and over and over. That would be terrible. And also, if you use the pattern, sometimes use it as 2 counts, where A is only 2 counts, like the cramp roll, Irish, cramp roll. So make it sometimes where the whole pattern is only 8 counts long, and sometimes where it's 16, and sometimes where it's 32. Mix that up so it's not always just a 2 count pattern. Right, of step, other step, step. Sometimes it's like 2 steps, and sometimes it's more. Mix those up. Okay, so that's one basic pattern that you can use that will really help your choreography move along very quickly and give you some structure. Another pattern that's very similar is A, B, A, C. Okay, and again, we're building the audience up. We're building an expectation and then throwing a curveball. We do A, then we do B, then we do A. And if you ask someone to complete the sequence, they're going to say, then you're going to do B again. But we don't. That's where we do C, which is a little novelty, a little unexpectedness, and that pleases an audience. Okay? So back to, we had our A was the cramp roll, and we're going to go to 2 counts now. Each chunk is 2 counts long for a total of 8. So A is the cramp roll, B is the Irish. Then A will do cramp roll again, and then C will go stamp, stamp, clap. All right, so we have A, B, A, C. I'll do it again. 6, 7, 8. A, B, A, C. Right? And just like with the other one, you can do it so that each one is longer. We have our A now longer. B is the 2. A, then we can do C. All right, so A. Whoops, I forgot my B. A, B, which is 2 Irishes now. A, and C. Right? And I'm not going to do the 8 counts long, but you can do where each chunk, where A is 8 counts, B is 8 counts, and C is 8 counts. That is another pattern that you can use. So now you got, what's great, you have, not only do you have 2 different patterns that you can use at different times, you also have, you can do different sizes of that pattern. You can do one where the total is 8. Like let's say you're doing A, A, B, A. You could do an 8 count of that. Then you could go into A, B, A, C, where it's a 32 count sequence. And then of course you're going to have some tap dancing in the choreography which is not patterns. Or the audience is just going to get burnt out and it's going to get boring and it's going to, because you know, A, B, A, C, that C is a novelty at first. But you do like 2 or 3 sets of that in a row, and the audience actually is no longer a novelty. They know to expect C, and it's not that interesting, especially if you're using, let's say, all 32 count phrases. It's just not going to work. So you want to mix some other things in there as well. So that is your shortcut. Those patterns is a shortcut for when you're starting out. Like I said, that can help you tremendously at first. Now, the other strategy that I highly, highly recommend is choreograph whatever you're going to choreograph, video yourself, and then watch it. Or if you're choreographing this on students, choreograph them, video it, try to video it when they have it as well as they possibly can, and then go back and watch that later. And when you watch it later, be honest with yourself. Just be like, I like this. Okay, write that down. I really don't like this, and I don't like this. And then try, and after you start doing this, you start, first of all, you get an idea of, okay, well, these are the kind of things that work, and this is what doesn't work choreographically. You don't want to depend on, well, the students can't do it. I mean, that's kind of a problem if you're doing things that are way too hard for the students, but you don't want to judge it if we're just looking at choreography, aside from how well the students do it, you want to, what I'm trying to get at is I want you to judge the choreography. If like someone messes it up, that doesn't mean the choreography is bad, it just means that they messed up the part. So you would ideally want to judge your choreography based on if it's all done well, how does it look? That's why you may want to just video yourself doing some of it to make sure it's good. Or if some people can imagine, even when the students mess up, they can still imagine what it looks like if it's good. If the execution is good, and that's fine. But if you can't, if when they mess it up, it just makes you feel like the choreography is bad, whether it is or not, then you might want to film yourself or someone else who's going to execute it really well. So you're judging just the choreography. Now, having said that, yeah, if you're choreographing something and none of the kids can do it and they look terrible even after several weeks of practice, then it's like, hey, you probably choreographed something that's too hard. Like, so you need to change that. That is bad choreography, but not in a pure form. It's bad in the form that your students can't do it, and that's might not, depending on how much you want them to work for it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's some caveats there. But if we're just judging choreography in the pure form, like I said, choreograph it, film it, notice what you like and what you don't like. And another thing that could be very helpful is go back then and change the parts you don't like, refilm it again, and check that. Okay, is this better? Do I like this better? Yeah, this is better. Because as you do this, like, you're going to learn over and over, well, the parts that I don't like are boring and I need to make them bigger, more exciting, or whatever. You'll start to learn some general things, and you'll here's the thing, you'll learn so much faster versus you're doing choreography, you make up a dance for your kids, you start it in March, and then it's recital in June, so you spent like 4 or 5 months working on this. They do it for recital. You watch the video later of recital, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't like this and this and this. So over 5 months, you got like one round of really good feedback where you just watched the whole thing on video. Now maybe you watched it prior to then, but maybe you haven't. Maybe that's the first time you've actually seen it. So that's one round of this, and you don't even get to make changes and fix it at that point. Versus I video, like it's Monday, I video, I see what I got, and I change it, and then I fix it, and then the next Monday I do that again. If you're doing that once a week, you're going to get like 20 cycles of that versus maybe just one cycle. Because the more cycles you do of that, the better you will get, and your brain will internalize what looks good and works and what doesn't. After doing it over and over, it's like, well, I know, for some things, you're like, I know that's going to look good, or as you're making it up, you know what, that's probably not going to look good. Let's scrap that now. I don't even have to film it and then watch it back. I just know that's not going to work. And so that process of filming and watching and critiquing and then going back and fixing it, that process on top of having your patterns that you can pull from whenever you want, those two things can make you choreograph much better, much faster. Like it's always a process of learning, but then you can learn much faster versus much slower over time. So that's my advice on choreography. Marcella, welcome. I don't know how to say that. Fala muito faz logo. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Louise, this is a random question, but I am self-taught tap by you, obviously, and would really like some good combinations for weight loss. Have you got any suggestions? Combinations. My best suggestion, Louise, are workouts at unitedtaps.com, because those are probably going to be from a strict, okay, if you're going to put your tap shoes on and go in, and your number one goal is to lose weight, then those workouts are going to be your best option, because it's nonstop tap for anywhere from 22 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on which level you're at. That is probably the best way, because you're going to get going and get that heart rate up and keep it up, like I said, consistently from 22 minutes to 30 minutes. Having said that, much more importantly, though, is doing whatever tap dance it is that you really like and are going to enjoy over the long run. Because if you're forcing yourself to come do the workout, like you get to the point, like maybe it's fun at first, but after a while you get burnt out and you're like, okay, I'm just tired of doing this workout. If you force yourself to do that, eventually you're going to quit. Like I can guarantee you, if you have to make yourself go do that, you're going to quit. It's going to quit. Versus if you're just doing my regular lessons, right? Or maybe you're doing the practice 315 combinations or something like that, and you enjoy those. Maybe it's not as hard of a workout, but you actually enjoy doing them, and you actually look forward to putting your tap shoes on. Long term, that is absolutely guaranteed to be far, far better for weight loss. Because what's going to happen is you're going to actually keep going. Whereas if it's like, okay, I got to lose weight, so I'm going to do the workout, even though I don't want to, that's going to burn you out, and you may just stop tapping altogether. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm done. Like I don't want to tap anymore, because you've made yourself do something that you stopped enjoying. Whereas where it's lessons or combinations and you're always doing new material, it doesn't even have to be by me. There are other people online who offer tap stuff, so you can even get a nice variety that way, checking out other people as well. If you love doing it, if you enjoy doing it, you're gonna want to do it each day or however many days a week that you're doing it, and you'll look forward to doing it the next time. And that is key, because that means 6 months from now you're still going. Versus, you know, I gotta tap hard to get the weight off, and you burn yourself out, and then you're done, and then you got nothing. Then you got nothing. Or what generally what happens is when we quit, then we gain, not only do we gain the weight back, and then we gain extra, which is nobody likes that, right? So do what you like to do the most. And if you want to put a little more emphasis, basically any of our stuff that has combination work, like in each of the lessons, we'll do individual step tech, but then we do the combinations at the end. And once you've got those combinations, running those combinations will definitely work your body. Or our choreography, like what you have to do a full-length routine. Now that's not extended, that's not doing cardio, like getting that heart level up for an extended period of time. But just for those 2.5, it's more like a HIIT workout, right? For those 2.5 minutes, you gotta get your arms moving and your feet moving, and those are tiring. Like you know what I'm talking about. That will really work your body. But those shorter spurts, those are not going to keep your heart rate high for an extended period of time. But if you enjoy doing them, that's the aspects of our material that'll get you moving. So it's when the combinations, it's when we're doing combinations, you're doing choreography. Versus when we're learning steps, there's a lot more watching, listening, processing versus actually doing. I mean, we do practice the step. We'll start slow and go faster and faster and faster. But that's not the same as doing a full-out dance where your arms and your head are moving for 2.5 minutes. So that's my overall advice. The most important thing is do what you actually enjoy doing. Those are the only things that are going to last long term. You have to enjoy it. Super important. That's a great question, by the way. Thank you. Excellent, excellent question. And I'm not saying you won't enjoy our workouts. I'm saying any workout someone does on video, if you're on the 100th time you've watched it, you can really just get burnt out and be like, okay, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm tired of doing the same thing. So keep it fresh, keep it fun, keep it exciting. Sharon said, wow, this lesson is going to be saved. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much. All right. So the choreography, that choreography thing is going to take the place of our tech tip for the day. That's going to be like our sort of our tech tip, but it's a little different with the choreography. Oh, so now we'll go to new step. I'm going to create something I've never seen before. Maybe someone else has created this before or done it before. That's awesome. I have not, and I'm going to do that live, and it's going to be fun and interesting. If we did a scuff backwards, can I? Yeah, maybe a chug. That's kind of interesting. I'm doing a back scuff, which is really rare. I almost never, ever, ever do that. At the same time, I'm doing a left chug. And trying not to, that was a flam where it went, ba-da. I'm trying to do, same time, that was a good one. And then I'm doing a right toe stand / left spank. Ideally at the same time, same, I'll change, stamp, step, stamp. Boom, boom, I'll change. Fun and interesting. I haven't done that before. Which is the whole point. Do something I haven't done before. All right. I'm going to move on to practice session, which is what I've been doing unintentionally. It's just the way it happens. Not so much like really straight drills where I'm just like step heel. It's more patterns. I'm putting things in patterns so that I'm still, like I'll do step heel so I can still practice those, but I put it in a pattern and try to create some interest with the step, so if someone was watching it would actually be somewhat interesting to watch. That's kind of where I'm at for my practice sessions, which is I'm mixed. On the one hand, I feel like it would be more ideal if I just drilled. Well, in some ways it would be more ideal if I just drilled. On the other hand, doing the steps this way, the way is more in line with how I would actually want to use them for choreography, so that it actually would be entertaining to watch. So in some respects, it's better to train my feet for how they're actually going to be used. I guess ideally a balance would be good, but I'm not great at balance. I tend to go very far in one direction or very far in the other. I tend to not do well with the balance. All right, well, let's get going. Let's jump into it. All right. Hey, guess what, my friends? No lines! Did you notice no lines? It was hard. Like, it took me, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours of just playing with camera settings and lighting settings and stuff like that. But ultimately, ended up being it was a camera setting that kind of fixed it, although I had to cheat. It wasn't like just flick this switch and that solves it. It was more like, well, if I make it bright enough, the lines no longer show up. Now the downside is, if you look up in this corner, see how it's blown out? Like it's like super bright light. Well, there's no bright light there. I guess there's maybe more light hitting there. I don't know what the deal is, but that's kind of blown out and overly, white. But the rest of it looks okay, so it's like, well, I'll deal with that to not have the lines, because the lines are like, really bothered me. So I'm happy to have the lines gone. I'm very excited about that. So it's an accomplishment. And I won't, and the other thing is I'm not, at least as of now, I'm not going to refilm because I've got the lines gone. I'm not going to what I have been doing is also filming it on a higher quality camera and then editing it and then releasing that like several days later. I'm not going to be doing that anymore. This is high enough quality for these. Basically, the more, if I spend a lot more time editing these and uploading these, I don't have time to produce, I have less time to produce other content. And so this is good enough for this content. You know, for the stuff I release for my website, I want that to be the best quality possible. So I want to reserve my time for spending on the stuff that needs to be the highest quality versus, that's not that the Live 11 it isn't important, it's just not as important as the stuff that I'm going to release there. This is a little bit more free form, obviously, right? So this is just a little explanation what's up with that. Thank you, Carson. Cool, now one of my favorites. This was super hard the first day I did it, which I think was on the Live at 11 maybe, or a practice session. Rep on the left. go. Left side's rough. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, applause for that. Well, Sharon, good timing. Sharon says, recently you mentioned making some changes yourself, like hiking. I wanted to know more about that. And Ingrid, thank you, Ingrid, for the clapping hands. I appreciate that. All right, Sharon. You know, it's very interesting that you brought this up. So, oh boy, should I tell the whole story? We'll see. We'll see. So, I'll try to give an abbreviated version here. So after my kids were born in 2011, and I already had some bad habits. And for those of you who have kids, you know, there's life before kids and there's life after kids. And as amazing as kids are, and they're fantastic and incredible and wonderful, they are also tiring and stressful. Like, you know, they make life more challenging. They make it way better in a lot of ways and way more challenging in other ways. And at the time, I did not have healthy patterns and healthy ways of dealing with the additional stress of having kids. So it's like you're already doing a bunch of bad habits. And here's the thing, I didn't even realize half the stuff. I didn't even realize, you know, this is actually not good for you, Rod. Like, this is not, I mean, like, some things are obvious. Okay, when I'm popping the little Twix bites, I love those. You know, I'd buy the bag of the mini bites, and like literally in 2 days, the thing's just gone. Like that, I would be like, okay, that's probably not ideal. But I would have been like, you know, having 3 or 4 days, not that big of a deal. You know, eating half the bag is probably not so good, but a few here and there is not a big deal. So I'll keep it. I'm trying to keep it short. I'm trying to compress a lot of information into a small space. So basically, I would wake up at between noon and 1 o'clock, and there's a myriad of issues with that. And I just figured I'm a night owl, which I was, but so I'd wake up between noon and 1. I would immediately go online. The first thing, I'm on the computer, so I'm just slamming my brain. I'm doing email, I'm doing blogs, and just taking in a ton of input and information, and news and stuff like that, which is real, almost always very, very negative. So eating a ton of that. Then I would just literally drink Diet Coke out of the 2-liter bottle. Literally, I was addicted to caffeine. It's like, that's gonna get me through the day because I'm exhausted for a myriad of reasons. So and then it's like, okay, it was time to eat, and then it's like, well, let's have some Pop-Tarts, or I have some donuts, or I have some frozen pizzas, or what, just garbage food, just garbage, or hot dogs because they're really fast and easy. And so then I eat garbage, and then I'm working at the computer, and I've mentioned this before. For every hour of film that I do, there's 10 hours of not film work, of basically sitting on your computer work. So it's just hours of grinding and grinding on the computer. So just sitting, and people always say, you know, oh, you're a tap dancer. Well, that's, you know, you get great exercise. Actually, as a tap dance teacher, you don't get that great of exercise because a large amount of your time is actually watching the kids and giving them feedback and helping them get better. It's not actually doing, you do some of it, like you do it during the warm-up and you'll show the combo, but even for the combo, there's times when you step back and you watch. So the actual amount of time that you're dancing is it's just not very high. And so then, so I would either be on the computer for extended hours, which is bad like in like 100 different ways, especially for me. And then then on the days that I did go teach, after I'm done teaching, it's like, oh, I love fast food. I don't eat it anymore at all, but I loved it. Like I loved it. It was great. So it was like the highlight, oh, I'm done teaching. Let's go get that cheeseburger and the burrito and the giant Diet Coke, like the giant one. And this is in the evening, right? So I eat that. That's great. Oh, this is great. Then I go home and I spend some time with the family. Then after they all go to bed, I'll either do more work or do more work on the computer, or do that plus then I'll watch Netflix for 3 hours. And it's like I'm not just watching Netflix. It's like I loved Cheez-Its. I had a thing, and so I would just like hammer down the Cheez-Its, and I'd be up till like watching Netflix till 3:30 in the morning, till I'm just so exhausted I can't stay awake anymore, and I go to bed, and I do that again. And so like I can't even tell you. And here's the craziest thing. It didn't occur to me, Rod. You know what? You're not so happy. Have you looked at what you're doing? Like have like hello? But it was such a slow progression to like that, and in some ways I was always like that. I was always naturally inclined to stay up late. I wasn't always inclined to sleep in later, although that happened later. So there was various things. Like, but the craziest thing is I really didn't have an idea. I was so used to this lifestyle and the food that I ate and everything that it didn't occur to me, hey. So in July of, let's see the question. Okay, so on July 3rd of 2016, I on a whim. I'm like, I'm gonna go get a fitness tracker watch, right? Because I had a Best Buy gift card. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get a fitness tracker watch and get in shape, all right? In my head, I knew, here's in the back of my mind was like, you're gonna be excited, it's gonna be cool for about a week or two, and then it's gonna be over. Like, I had no illusions that, oh, my whole life is gonna change. Because I countless times I had tried to, okay, and I'm going to eat healthy. So I threw away all the Cheez-Its and all the frozen garbage and all that stuff and buy the salads, and I did all that. And on a bad run, I would only make it like 3 days. On a good run, I think I made it to 3 weeks once, right? But every time I failed. And what happened is I failed so many times that what I would start doing, I wouldn't throw away the Cheez-Its anymore. I'd go put them in a bag, tie up the bag, and I'd put it out in my shed because I knew, all right, when you're done, after you've failed, you're gonna get those. They're like the Cheez-Its, they're like $4 a box. It's like not cheap. So you don't want to, you throw away 5 boxes. That's $20. So I would literally put them out in the shed, and sure enough, I would fail, and I'd go out there, and I'd be like, boy, I'm glad I didn't throw these away. So needless to say, I had failed over and over and over and over, just constant failure. And then they'd be like, oh, I'm not going to eat fast food anymore, which would last a few days. All of it failed. Or I'm going to stop drinking caffeine. I would throw out all the Diet Coke, and I don't know if I put those in the shed. I'm sure I put those in the shed too, because I'm sure I got to the point where, no, you're not, Rod. In a week you're going to want that Diet Coke back. I have some more crazy stories about that in Cheez-Its, but I'll get to that another time. I'm going to save that actually for something else, for another video. But anyway, so it was just constant failure. So I had no illusions going to get this fitness tracker watch that this was going to be different. Like, oh, I'm going to succeed this time. No. But I was like, yeah, I want to get a fitness tracker watch. These things are cool, and this is fun, and it'll be neat. And so I get the watch, right? And so I get the watch, and very shortly after having it, I started walking, which is important. But shortly after, I realized, oh, you can do online competitions with other people. Okay, great. So I joined a competition. The problem is the competitions are like a week long. Let's say they run from Monday through Sunday. And I joined the first one, let's say on Thursday. So everyone had like 3 days ahead of you. So it's like I had no chance of winning that, which is fine. You know, I got, well, I'm starting late, so no big deal. So whatever. All right. So the next week comes, and I'm like, I'm going to start one from scratch, so it'll be a fair playing field. Now here's a really interesting thing. I am not a highly competitive person. Like if I'm playing a game, I want to win, and I'll try to win, but I'm not like win at all costs. I've got to win. This is really like I don't turn into one of those like crazy people. Usually, this one time was a strange exception. So I'm doing the online competition, and there's probably 6 or 7 of us that are all competing, and then there's 3 of us at the top. And the way it works is like I would wake up and someone, like one of those people would have like 2,000 more steps than me. I'm like, great, I'm gonna go for a walk. I matched their 2,000, I add another 2,000 on, now I'm in the lead, cool. And then I go about my day, and then in the evening I look back and then they matched my 2 and then jumped 2 on that. And it's like, oh, okay, well I've gotta go at least match that before I go to bed. So there's like 3 of us that would just constantly leapfrog again and again and again. And after like 3 or 4 days of that, I was like, okay, like I'm tired of this cycle. This is gonna sound horrible. This is like I said, I'm never that competitive, but I was like, I need to psychologically dominate so that they don't even want to try. So one night, I decided I'm gonna match them and I'm gonna go 10,000 steps ahead. So when they wake up in the morning, instead of being 2,000 behind and thinking, I can catch up with that, they're going to be like, I'm 10,000 behind, I'm not even going to try. This is horrible. But that one day when I added that extra 10,000, I did like 25,000 steps in a day. Now the downside is I was super exhausted, and I actually started to hate walking. But that next day, when I started 10,000 ahead, and then I check on them, and they weren't even close. Exactly what I thought would happen. They didn't even try. Like instead of doing like before, they would have done like 2,000 to match, and then maybe another 1,000 to beat me. Like they just did 2,000, and they were like, we're done. And so the 2 below me would do their leapfrogging, and they like competed against each other, but they were done trying for me. They were like, this is crazy. Probably because they have lives, and it's like, well, I can't spend the whole morning doing this. You know, I've got to go to work and do this other stuff, whereas my schedule was a little bit more flexible, so I could just burn myself into the ground. So needless to say, I won, but I started to hate walking. So at that point, I was like, you know, I actually was enjoying the walking before I got crazy competitive, so let's just stop the competition. So I stopped the competition. I keep walking, and then fairly soon after that, the walking, instead of doing it on cement on the streets, I'm super blessed that we have a mountain trail like literally down the street, like really close. So I started hiking that, which was, and I started small, which was great because I'm in nature, and eventually I was hiking the whole mountain trail every day, which is 5 miles up and down mountains. And I knew when I was doing that, that took like an hour and 45 minutes. Like it took a good chunk of time. Like I knew this is not good for, you know, the business. I'm not producing as much and all this stuff, but for me personally, somehow I just knew, I'm like, I need to do this. This is really important. And what I didn't know at the time, now I know why it was so important. Number one, I was getting away from my computer. So instead of like sitting in front of a computer and taking input, and I am super sensitive to input. And I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize how sensitive. I'm sensitive to human input, like I'm an introvert, so I cannot spend a whole lot of time hanging around other people and talking to other people and do that stuff. I have to do that in small doses, so I knew that. But I didn't realize, like for online, like watching news stories and YouTube videos and reading blogs and all that stuff, I didn't realize how sensitive I was to that input. So walking got me away from my computer, which is great. So that's like a break of input, of constant input. It got me out in the sun. I've since learned how extremely important exposure to sunlight is. Like really, really, really important for a multitude of things, everything from mood to sleep and other things as well. It also just gave me time to think. Because there's not input, I've got time to think and process, okay, what's going on in my life? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And the exercise is super key. So that hiking that every day, my weight just started gradually going down. And at first I didn't even change my eating. But what happened is after doing that walking, that started, okay, that big change led to, okay, I'd like to eat healthier. And so I would eat a lot healthier, and it wasn't a sudden change, and I didn't fix all my eating, although I made a deal with myself that was crucial, and that is whenever you want, I said to myself, whenever you want fast food, you can go to Chipotle instead. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, it's a big deal on two fronts. Number one, I'm price sensitive, right? For $5, I can get the meal. You know, Chipotle is like more like $8, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but for me, money's a little tighter, and that makes a big difference. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna give myself permission to spend more. Number two, if I go to Chipotle, I have to get out of the car, which is actually a good thing, that you actually get out and get some exercise versus just driving up. So anytime that I wanted to get fast food, which I loved, the only thing I loved more was Chipotle, I would get Chipotle instead, which is just a healthier option. And so then I started eating healthier, and then eventually in December of 2016, I decided to go all plant-based diet, cut out all animal-based products except for honey. Like no dairy, no meat, no eggs, none of that. Now, fortunately for me, that worked. And part of it is because I'm an all or nothing person, so that, boom, I'm good. Like I made that cut and I was fine with it. At first, I got all the replacement stuff. Now, when I was 17, I was vegetarian for about 5 years. And then I went back to eating meat. So I had some experience eating some vegetarian, like chicken patties and fake chicken patties and stuff like that. And some of that food actually I grew to like, which was a huge benefit. But at first, when I first went plant-based, I'm like, I'm going to get all of this replacement cheese and replacement sausage and all this other stuff. And some of it was disgusting. Like the replacement sausage is probably the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my life. There are replacement stuff that I think that are good and I enjoy, but those were disgusting. They were awful. Some of the cheese was really good, like the cheddar cheese. I could make a grilled cheese, and it was real close to a normal grilled cheese. But I realized very, very quickly, like after maybe 1 or 2 weeks, I'm like, if I'm just eating all this processed substitute cheese and dairy and other stuff, I might as well just be eating the real thing. What's the point? So I very quickly just cut out like 90% of that. Occasionally I'll eat a vegan pizza that has the fake cheese. Although I prefer them. Like my wife's gonna make pizzas for us. I'm like, don't put on the fake cheese. I don't actually like it. But every now and then I do. So basically, then my diet improved. Then I started shifting, going to bed at a normal time, and then getting up earlier and earlier and earlier. And now I roughly go to bed at 10:30, and I get up about 6:30, give or take. I meditate every day. I journal every day. I have a whole set of practices that I do and try to stick to. I do strength training now twice a week. In order to tap every day, one of the things I do, this Live at 11 just evolved out of me I have to do a practice session every day, or I try to do a practice session every day, so I'm getting my body to work. Now, of course, I'm talking right now, so I'm kind of defeating that purpose. Now, on days when I teach, it's not a big deal. Today's a big teaching day. I teach 4 hours, so I know throughout the warm-ups and stuff, I'll get some exercise. But on the days that I don't, I need that movement, and I need that movement to just feel better. I need it to keep my skills up, and I need it to get to sleep at night. Sun exposure in the morning is extremely helpful. I walk every morning as well. I don't do the mountain trail anymore due to time constraints, because I have such a long morning routine that I'm already taking a lot of the workday out, but it's crucial. But getting that sun exposure in the morning, it helps you get sleep at night, and getting that exercise in the day helps you get sleep at night. And then when you get sleep at night, you're rested the next day. And when you don't get enough sleep, that negatively affects every decision you make. You will make bad decisions about food. You will make bad decisions about exercise. You will make bad decisions about purchasing. You become way more impulsive. And usually those bad decisions then lead to you staying up. Okay, impulsive, bad decision. I'm going to Netflix binge for 3 hours. Now I'm going to get to bed really late. and be even more tired the next day. And if I'm more tired, then I'm setting myself up for bad decisions the entire next day, which is gonna it's a downward spiral, and it's taking me down pretty far. But the cool thing is, once you start reversing these, then it's an upward spiral. One thing helps you get better at the other, helps you get better at the other, and so forth and so on. So fast forward to about a year ago, after making all these changes, like my life is so much better. I can't even put it into words. It's like phenomenally better. Not saying I have a perfect life. I don't. I have many challenges and struggles like a normal person does. But oh my goodness, the difference between where I am now and where I was, like literally, if you took me back in time and you said, "Hey Rod, if you keep that old lifestyle, I will give you $10 billion," I would say no. You can't. You could. There's no amount of money you could pay me to go back to that. Like you literally couldn't, because I know it doesn't matter how much money I have. I'm going to be absolutely miserable, like guaranteed miserable. Like all these practices and habits that have changed are so crucial. They make such a difference. So about a year ago, I'm like, I would love to help other people make these same changes, because I know what an incredible difference they make. And fortunately, one thing that I realized right off the bat was what worked for me isn't necessarily going to work for other people. Like that does, someone says, well, this is what I did, so you need to do this. That's what they did and worked for them. That's not necessarily going to work for me. So I started diving into research. Okay, what are the underlying principles of successfully changing that work for everybody? And that's kind of like been my obsession for the past year. And it's been interesting because I expected to find, well, here's what they are and here's how it is. It's not like that. It's like, well, here's someone's point of view. Well, this is, here's willpower. You need to develop your willpower, and here are all the different strategies. And someone else saying, if you're relying on willpower, you're going to fail. You need to adjust your environment situation. And someone else saying, it's all about your social network. If your social network is all eating garbage all the time, guess what you're going to be eating? You're going to be eating garbage too. So I found all like silos where someone was saying this is the key, and they had great information, but very few were putting it all together. There were some that did kind of put some of it together, but even when they put it all together, they because they didn't go as in depth, they would miss like a thing from here, or a thing from here, or a thing from here. So what I've been doing this last year is learning all this stuff, and right now I'm putting it all together to I want to create a system that uses all of these strategies and takes all of the things that I've learned and puts it together into one system, versus it's just this, it's just this, it's just this. So I'm literally working on developing that system right now, and then I want to start having people use the system and find out, okay, what are the weak points of the system? Is this working for you? Like they want to make a change. Okay, I want to eat healthier, or I want to start to exercise, or whatever change that they want to make. Have them go and start using the system, and then find out what are the failure points of the system, what are the weak points of the system, find those out, change them, and ultimately get to the point where I have a system that people can go through that has a very high success rate, like really, really high success rate, because it's not reliant on any one specific strategy. It's basically combining them all and using them all in unison, which one of the books that I read, they basically studied 5,000 people who were trying to make changes on their own, and finding out, well, which ones succeed and which ones fail, and what is the difference. And this is one of the few books that really put different things together. They were like, your environment's important, as is your social network's important, and this is important. So it has like 6 different factors. And they found the people who used all strategies from all 6 categories had 10 times more likely to succeed. A 10-fold increase in their success. And they're studying like normal people. Here's 5,000 people who are all trying to change. The ones who succeed, the ones who are 10 times more likely, are the ones who use all of these strategies together. And those, in my opinion, aren't even complete. There are still things from here and here and over here and over here that you can add to that to strengthen that, make that even more powerful. And the other thing about these strategies, like I read a book. It was in a book, right? So I read the book, and this is with any book. You read it, and it kind of tells you what you need to do in general. but you have to actually do it. And when it comes to actually having to do whatever it is, what people almost never give you is an exact, super detailed, this is step 1, literally do this. This is step 2, literally do this. Like super specific, day by day, task by task by task. Like it's like my tap dance video, my lessons. Like I'll teach you the step, we break it down slow, then we go over so like it's very step by step by step in a super clear, logical fashion. So that, because if I just like, okay, here's a flap, you brush and step, all right, moving on, you're gonna be like, what? Like, I don't really get the flap. I haven't mastered the flap well because you need to learn it slow and learn all the details and know what to watch for, and then you need to practice it slow and work your way up. So I want to basically create a system of change that walks people through that process. And the cool thing is it's not, it sounds like, well, how do you know this process is going to work for different people? Well, the process, and well, I'm not going to get into all the details, but it allows for flexibility for someone to do the specific tasks in a way that works for them, essentially. So that's what I'm working on, and I was actually earlier today when I was walking, because it's a great thinking time, was thinking, you know, I want to get a group of people to beta test this so I can get it started. Now I'm not quite ready for the beta test, although I'm thinking it's coming up on January 1st, you know, New Year's resolutions. Like it would be great if I could get this, you know, the system down and in place by then so that beta testers could test it out with their New Year's resolution. But that's kind of like the whole big ball of wax, where I'm at and what's going on. This is a good story. I'm glad you think so, Carson. I would hate if it was boring. It probably is boring for some people. But I'm super excited about it. Like super. Like I said, I've spent like the last year reading and learning as much as I could about many different aspects. And it wasn't all just about change. It was like, okay, like let's take gratitude journaling. Even something like that, the people who gratitude journal on a regular basis, some of them are up to 25% happier than like people who don't. Like they've done studies comparing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like just writing things down. And well, there's actually, see, this is interesting because there's more to it than just saying I am grateful for my family or something like that. You want to have as much detail as possible and make it as deep as possible versus, you know, I'm so glad that, you know, and my wife does the laundry. You want it to go deeper. I'm so glad that my wife not only does the laundry, but she cares about me. She wants to make sure I have the clothes I need so that when I'm ready to film, it's all there. Like there's a deep. If you look, there's a deeper message there that you can kind of tap into. So there's all kinds of things, and that's just one thing. And so if you start compounding these, are like, okay, you do the gratitude journaling, and then you do the regular journaling, and then you do the meditation, and then you do the walk, and then you do the exercise, and you do the sun exposure. Like it's all these things compound together. Like I said, obviously I'm very excited about it, and I'm hoping to get that system together and get that and get some beta testers and get going with that, because that's, like I said, I'm just super excited about that. All right, I should go back to tapping because that is one of the main reasons that I'm here. So hopefully that's, if you guys want to, since we're here, if you want to be a beta tester, email me, rod@unitedtaps.com, and just say, hey, I'm interested in being a beta tester for your change system whenever it's ready to go. That would be awesome. That would be perfect. And then I can kind of keep you in the loop as it progresses, and then we can go from there. So awesome. Here we go. And that's part of the reason this whole thing, like when I sign off now, keeping you happier and healthier through tap dance, one of the things that I have crystallized through journaling day after day after day after day after day is my personal purpose, which is to improve the physical and mental well-being of both myself and everyone else, anyone and everyone that I can. And that may sound selfish in that I list myself first, but my understanding is I have to be in the best possible place myself before I can help other people. Like if I'm in a bad place, I'm not going to be good at helping people, and I'm not going to be setting a good example that people could follow if they wanted to. So that's it. And so now a lot of when I think about what I'm doing with tap dance, it's from that thing. I'm helping people move and use their brain and use their body, get the exercise. Like, that's really good. Like, it's really, really good for you. And the interesting thing is dance in general is exceptionally good. They did some studies. I don't have the stat off the top of my head, but in terms of like reducing dementia and all that stuff, and basically in terms of reducing your decline as you age, dance is absolutely one of the best things they found. And it's because it's a combination of cognitive. You have to think and you have to memorize these steps and then the order of these steps and put them in new combinations. You have that going. At the same time, you've got physical movement. So this great combination of these two things is really, really good. And that really got me excited because that's kind of my thrust. I want to have people have the best mental and physical well-being that they can, and tap dance actually is really, really helpful. So that's why I changed, instead of teaching the world tap dance, making you happier and healthier through tap dance, because it kind of that's where my focus is more right now, and it's just so beneficial. It's like really, really beneficial. All right, I just talked a whole bunch more. All right, I gotta get back to tapping. Here I go. All right. I do want to share something, a strategy that I use when I can't do something fast, when I'm trying to do something fast and it's going poorly. So I'm trying to do this thing, so, I'm trying to do that pattern. I've got it slow. Then what I want to do is double time. I can do it, but I couldn't do it a minute ago. I can't do it double time, so I need to kind of do it a combination of things, sort of as I need a middle ground to do. And if I go at a middle speed, it's not going to match the music. So what you can do is just take a very small piece. I could do just the first two sounds until I get those, and then I'll do like the next two. 3, 4, 3, 4, and by doing this, taking the smaller pieces and building on and mastering those, then adding another smaller piece on, that's a way to kind of build up to that speed. So that's another strategy that I use. Just going to share that. guys like this song. Thank you. That's called Nantucket. Is that the remix? I think it's just called Nantucket, not the Nantucket remix. Yeah, that's Nantucket from my Phoenix album at unitedtaps.com. That guitar, boom doo doo da doom doo da da doom doo doo da 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 do. That is a loop that I use, and if you're familiar with the group System of a Down, their lead singer Serge Tankian, he did some solo albums, and on one of his solo albums, he used the same loop. It's like, I know that! That's the same one I use. So it's very interesting. It's a very different song, but it was so interesting to hear how someone took that same loop that I heard and integrated it into a song. Which is kind of neat and interesting. All right, I got to call it a day. I'm way over time, and that's because it's my fault because I got talking. So thank you all for joining me for Live at 11. Hopefully you had fun, and hopefully maybe that story will inspire you. And like I said, feel free to contact me, rod@unitedtaps.com, to be in the beta testing group. And that's it. All right. I, of course, am Rod Howell from unitedtaps.com, making you happier and healthier through tap dance. All right.